There we are. Hello, hello. How's
Yeah.
everybody doing this afternoon? It's been a long weekend around here. Lots of spring stuff going on. Trying to get the yard shaped up, getting the garden ready. I think I threw my back out running a hoe yesterday and a rake in the garden. But all in all, I'm hanging in there. How about you, Steve? I saw you was like walking through some part of like upper Alaska, the Arctic Circle or something on one of your videos.
Hey, I went for a bike ride yesterday.
Yeah, and then broke out the snowshoes today.
Yeah. Yeah, we a little bit of snow today. And it was the it, anytime they predict these things, any sort of weather, of course, it's kind of a half science, half art, half throw a dart at a board. Um, and so they've been the totals have been all over the place, but it started out with more mixed precipitation and even thunder snow, which is kind of thunderstorms mixing with snow and such, and so it
We've
was
never
really
had
wet.
that to know of.
And it's yeah, I think the overall amount, it's just compacting. So we've gotten a lot of snow. The bottom layer of it was half more water than snow, which is really annoying. Um, but it's yeah, it dumped a fair amount on us. It's hitting a lot in Wisconsin, even worse. And then yeah,
Hmm.
making its way over across the lake to Michigan. So a little, but like I've told people before, March is historically it tends to be our snowiest month of the winter. It just hurts because depending on when winter started for us, it feels like it should be over because you just get the fake spring. We've already had a couple of days in the 60s. Like yesterday, there was no the only snow I saw was at the ski hill that I rode my bike past. Um, so yeah, but it's I think they're predicting upper 50s by Friday, Saturday. So
Huh.
it's the roller coaster of spring. But yeah, I'm a little a little tired. Moving that heavy. I got my snowblower running again because the carb was all gummed up, and rather than spend a couple hours trying to rebuild it, I spent the $18 and bought a whole new kit and tossed that on there. But
Yeah.
it was still getting it's just so wet and sticky. It would still get plugged up occasionally. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, that's one thing I can say. We haven't had a whole lot of snow. We did have a couple of days. It was like 80. I had to break out the sweat rag, but it's
oh
supposed to be going back down.
I sweat through a couple shirts just clearing this stuff because you got to have layers on. You got to have your jacket on so you're not getting pounded by wind
Well,
and
I was yeah,
whatnot.
I was wearing a t-shirt like
But
this.
yeah, it's so I'm on my third t-shirt for the day.
Mm. But yeah, it's supposed to get cool here, but we're supposed to have I think they've got us at like DEFCON 3 on a 5 scale. So it's like 3 out of 5 chances or whatever for tornadic activity. So there's a chance that the shelter might come in handy again. It does make me feel a little better knowing we got it though, in case something does happen. I went
Mhm.
ahead and moved one of my little solar powered motion lights over near the door and just put it on a 4x4 post so that I got, a light there in case something happens. But and I've still got the battery is still inside the shelter with the lights plugged up and all that. So we're ready if it does happen, but hopefully it won't. I've got some stuff I got to get done, both in the shop and outside the shop. But I do want to build myself a little shelf in there and kind of put me like a little uh, just kind of like a little board to put all of my, batteries are here, lighting, water, maybe some snacks, dry foods or something that just in case, and
Yeah.
a couple little emergency items. But I haven't got around to doing all of that yet. It's been one thing after another after another. So we'll see. And
Yep.
I've got the X Tool sent me the RA3, which I thought they were just going to send me the cable and the adapter for the P2, but they sent me the whole shooting match. So I got the RA3 with the adapter for the P2. I was going to kind of do a comparison of the P2 using the RA3 with the new technique that they've got built into the P2, or using the old RA2 and just doing it the old school way like I did last week. That's kind of where I'm going with video. Is just to, which is it worth go ahead and getting the RA3, or should you just, push through the RA2? And so far, I'm not overly impressed with the method that they use to hold the RA3 in one spot. It does seem better than nothing, but I don't know that it's. I haven't reached a decision yet. I'm still playing around with it. I do have it installed. I've been testing it out, but I'm not sure that I'm going to prefer it over the RA2. Other than it does have higher Z clearance if you're doing like the big tumblers and stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that one was really designed for the P3.
Yeah.
And so I think they're just trying to make it backwards compatible with, the other lasers, which that height does not help it on the F series at all. The P2, the kind of the same thing, but in the P3, they've got, I mean, they built it for that. They've got the pegs that it just pegs and the magnets. It just snaps and locks in place.
And then you've got the automatic adjustment on the bed too, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with the P2, you don't have that. So
right.
So I'm still gonna play around with it, do some testing, do some test tumblers, maybe engrave some Monster Energy drink cans or something, just to get a feel for how it works, and then I want to do a review of it with some insight into which one fits what scenario. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, it's on my list too. I've been trying to get caught up on other things, but when I first got the P3, the RA3 kind of automated stuff was still in beta, and so I didn't spend a whole lot of time with it because I ran into a couple quirks, and I'm like, all right, let's let them figure this out before I jump in and start spend a lot of time with it. But I do hope to get back to that and see how it works now that hopefully it's smoothed out, and then maybe we can compare notes between the RA, you running the RA3 on the P2 and me running on the P3. So,
yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like I said, after a little bit of tweaking, I got my RA2 to where I like it pretty good with the P2. So it's gonna have to. I do like the interchangeable heads with the RA3 though. That was a really good move on their part, to where you can just pop the head out, put another one in. It works really well with the F2 and the F2 Ultra and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see what we got going on here. Mark Tucson is saying they're projected to hit 103 on Thursday. I'm guessing he's not in Minnesota. And then Kevin Parsons said they're calling for a blizzard up to 4 feet till Tuesday. So yeah, we got weather all over the place, guys.
Yeah, these spring storms are no joke, but it can be very, especially with some of these, you can get like a narrow band of really heavy snow. A few years ago, we had one come through in, I almost want to say it was even early May, but definitely late April, that it hit 40 miles west of here. They got dumped up with like 12 plus inches of snow, and we got a dusting over here. And so it's where our other campus is for the college. And so we had some kind of upset people over there that like, why are we still having class and such? And because it's kind of like the smaller satellite campus. But then later that week, I had planned to go, it was really warm. It was in the 70s. Everything was dry over here. It was sunny. And I'm like, oh, I should go out to the flying field and do some flying. Well, I forgot that it had snowed that much over there. So I get over there and the field was still very mushy. There's still some snow kind of in the low spots and such. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So it can vary, just a few miles, you can have a vast difference. But yeah, we're getting a nice little cold trough. I think Tuesday morning they're projecting it'll be like -4 about time to go to work. I'm like, no fun. But
yeah. Brian said it's bad in Milwaukee. He said raining all day, got like 0.2 inches of snow, then it melted away.
Yeah, I think the track went south. Although I'm surprised it didn't hit more in Milwaukee, but
yeah.
But yeah,
Scroll through here.
springtime. So, trying to go back. Oh, we got.
Kevin's asking where you at.
I'm in South Central Minnesota, Mankato area. So, if you're looking at the map, there's a county that has a little V shape in it. It's from the Minnesota River where it stops going south and goes back north. That's where I'm at. Mountain Biker says they got the new Onefinity Gen 2 4x4, trying to get some shop room cleared up so I can get it set up. Congratulations on that. That's a nice big machine. I don't know what your experience is with CNCs, but that's definitely a jumping into the big side. I mean, it's not like a big Avid or Shop Saver, but for I was listening to, I think it was on Ryan and their show last night. They were talking about CNC machines and whether people need to jump in, for their very first machine, whether getting one of these larger, like you've got the Shapeoko 5 Pro and I've got the Gen 1.5 Onefinity. Those are a lot of machine to jump into. When something like the Reno 4040 Pro, you get a pretty good feel for what it can do, but it's still compartmentalized. You can move it onto the shelf, you can move it around, but it's kind of like when you do get bit by that, much like you, all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, now I need a bigger one. And so that's where the whole buy once, cry once argument comes in, right? So
yeah, if you get the room for it. But yeah, I didn't get to watch Ryan and them show last night. We had somewhere we had to go. But I watched it today while I was working on building all those guys. So while I was in here today, I put on my headphones and listened to Ryan and them show from last night. And they were talking about that, among other things. But yeah, it's, like you can do a lot with the 4040 series machines, whether it be the Saint Smart or the Fox Alien, or there are some other brands out there too. Those are probably my two best picks for smaller, like CNCs, unless you're just going to get like you can get a smaller, carbide machine. You can get a smaller, what is it? I think Dutton 150 16 by 16.
Yeah, 150 this winter they came out with their, I forget what they call it, but it's basically a 16 by 16 machine, and it's right around $1,000. So it's close to being competitive with those others.
Yeah.
So they're seeing that market as being a lot
of the companies kind of overlook it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of creators sometimes push people that way, towards that buy once, cry once thing. If you're going to get one, be serious, jump right in.
But, yeah, I've heard a lot of them say that if you're not spending $3,000 on a CNC, you're wasting your money. I've heard it, and I strongly disagree with it.
And the fact of the matter is, a lot of your projects are going to fit well within a 16 by 16 area. Now, not always, and especially if you get into like signs and furniture and such, they're not. But a lot of your wall decor, your kitchen accessories, your bottle openers, your catch-all trays, a lot of that you're gonna fit on a smaller machine as well.
Yeah, the small things that you're going to take to craft shows, a lot of times you can do them on a 4040 machine. Yep. And if you don't have a lot of space and you got more time than you got money, then a lot of times a 40 by 40 machine is a good answer,
Yep.
And save you up some money once you nail down the market and you figure out products and you get good with the software and everything. Then throw some money back and upgrade. I ran that little 4040 Pro Ver or whatever. No, it was the original Saint Smart 4040 Pro, the original one. I ran it for the longest. There, you had to take your speeds and feeds and understand the machine's capabilities, but for the most part, I made all kinds of stuff with that thing, and that's what made me decide that I wanted that. And I was like, you know what, I'm going big. I'm going big. So, and like you said, but I made the decision that I'm going to take this 16 square feet of space over here, and I'm going to dedicate it to a machine. And I've got an order. I know you probably saw them because I've done them for like the past 2 or 3 years. The pizza plaques that I make.
Oh yeah, yep.
I got an order right now pending for 8 of them for the Pizza Hut around here for the corporate Pizza Hut people. They reached out the other day and said, "Hey, it's that time of year again. Can we get 8 of the plaques made?" And I'm like, "Sure," because I got the file made. You know, I got everything set up. All I got to do is put the wood in there and let them run. And it's literally just pine. So I mean, it's not like it's a complicated product. And then,
so speaking of that, I made a run. You know, my Blizzard prep was run to Menards and get some material. And mainly because I wanted to get. I mean, if I was out in my shop, people would be like, "Why are you buying wood? Because you have that whole collection of it behind you," which I don't down here because I'm not. I've spent enough time outside and in the shop today. But I was picking up one of those glued up pine panels to do a project on the big Saint Smart 2x2, and I went and found it and picked out a piece that didn't have a lot of the extra knots and whatnot in it. And then as I'm walking back towards the registers, they have another end cap display that has some acacia glued up boards. And for the same size, it was like $4 more to get acacia instead of pine. And so I'm looking at it going, would that project work better with that? So I kind of walked back and forth between the pine panels and that one just a couple times to debate it. And when I went back and I'm looking at it, this guy behind me, he's like, "Oh, are you a crafts person too?" And I'm like, I just turn around, I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, you like making crafts. I see you looking at these panels, and I'm like, I mean, I guess I've got a CNC job. I'm just trying to debate on whether the white pine or the more dark mixed, butcher block one. He's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, this is a weird.
He's just trying to be nice. He's just trying to be
No,
nice.
it was he's very polite. I was just like, I don't know. I mean, a crafts.
Maybe he recognized you and didn't want to just like come out and say it.
But I ended up sticking with a pine. As a matter of fact, I've got that here. So I've been trying to finish up some tests with that 2x2 so I could do the project, and I figured I needed to do something a little bit bigger. So,
wow.
So this is about a 2 foot.
Did you stain it and then didn't run the CNC job?
Yeah. So I stained it and then ran it through it, and this is like the third iteration of this. Because I was trying to use material I had on hand, plywood. I think actually the first thing I tried running, it was this. It was, I think it was the side of one of the crates that a laser came in. And it was a chunk of plywood that, like, on one side looked okay, on the other side not so great. I was like, I'll do this. But on that one, I was trying to cut through it because I was going to do a backer. Well, here's where I screwed up. Is on these vertical lines, I didn't have them connected. So they ended so that the mountains were a little more pronounced. These lines didn't come down and join them. And the problem is that left a really long finger that when the router came and did its final pass around, I didn't have it. If I would have had like a vacuum bed, or if I had, double-sided tape holding it down, might have been okay. But I had clamps holding it down, and all of a sudden that thin, not even quarter-inch plywood with that bit, it just starts, And I'm listening to this thing because I'm doing some other stuff, and I hear it from, over by my table saw. I like ducked because I'm like, something's about to explode.
Like a helicopter, didn't it?
Something's about to explode. So I got over to the machine and I killed that process. So then I changed it up to where it was just going to pocket it. And I ran that on some random Menards plywood, trying to go for this effect. So I stained it first, and then I was going to pocket it. And I measured where the middle layer was that looked to be like a nice white poplar. Well, half of it was like white poplar. The other half was like another layer, because you know how they make plywood. They just, those middle sheets,
whatever they got left over.
Yep, middle sheets or whatever, they'll put halfway in. And so I was just like, it does not look right. And so then I didn't mask it beforehand, so I'm trying to go in there and I'm trying to paint it white. I'm like, this is not going well. Yeah. So I decided to join the lines. I wasn't sure if I was going to cut through or pocket it. And I figured, depending on the wall, at least this way, the white pine with the gray stain is going to give a nice contrast. So
yeah,
it came out pretty well.
I like the pattern. That looks pretty nice.
Yeah,
Which machine did you run that on?
This was on the Same Smart 2x2. So I was trying to do something. This is a 24-inch round.
Yeah.
Disc, and I was trying to maximize the working area. I mean, if they're gonna, that's why would you get that machine if you're not going to do bigger things with it, right?
Yeah,
because a lot of my other tests,
be doing a bottle opener.
Yeah, a lot of my other tests could be done on their 4040. So I'm like, I got to do at least something that takes up more space. So
yeah,
finally got that one done. So hopefully now I can at least put the initial review together on that one. The other thing I'd been working on earlier in the week was dialing in the dust boom and getting that working all right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The machine's been nice. It's got closed loop steppers. It's got linear rails. It's designed pretty well. There's a couple things I think I'd like to see different on it. But I think the limiting factor on that machine is that 710 watt trim router. It's still very capable. I mean, you can do a lot with it, but I felt like I could push the machine harder with like a stronger spindle. So we'll see.
Yeah, when it gets to the point to where the router is the weak link, that's when you got to start looking at spindles.
Yeah.
But
well, it's funny because on the smaller machines, they often come with the smaller spindle. And so like, hey, make sure you can upgrade to a trim router. Well, on this machine, it's like it comes with the trim router. And it's like, maybe want to be able to step up to an actual spindle now.
Yeah, once you get used to it and get the training wheels off, you might want to get a spindle for it.
Yeah. But I haven't, the machine hasn't hiccuped once on me. I mean, I've had a couple of oopses, which were my problem.
Yeah, like trying to use an upcut bit on 1/4-inch material.
No, that was actually
was a down cut. No, it wouldn't have been.
No, that was a compression bit.
Okay, yeah, that little bit of upcut.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I learned it's not the best thing, but with anything 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters, a 1/4-inch, whether it's plastic, whether it's acrylic or plywood, I'm either going to try to run an O-flute or a downcut bit with thinner material so that it pushes it to the bed instead of pulls it up off of the bed.
Yeah, I usually will use a downcut bit, but with this plywood, I didn't want it to blow out the backside, and with the slats, they've got gaps, and so that's where I was like, all right, well, the compression bit would work better. But when you have those little fingers that start getting loose, then
yeah.
I mean, it didn't break. Yeah, it didn't break, but man, I was just like, oh,
because it would lift up. It lifts up just enough, and then once the tension gets enough, it'll slap back down. Oh, I've had it where it sounds like a helicopter or something like. I did that with a piece of acrylic one day, and like you said, you're like getting low, trying to get below the material as you try to make it to the e-stop button, because you're thinking if it comes loose, it's going to come across here like a boomerang. So been there, done that. I've had to like tactically advance the e-stop button before with the acrylic stuck to the spindle sitting there doing this.
Yeah, you do have to. You got to respect the CNC machine. The lasers, you're worried about burning things, right? But there's not a lot of force on the material. It's probably not going to throw something out of it. But when you got that bit interacting with the material, you got to make sure it's held down, and you got to make sure that things aren't going to go start flying. And that's one reason to build an enclosure for a CNC. It's just shrapnel protection.
Yeah, you don't want to have that, but it's possible.
Yep.
Oh. All right, Gillette is saying, have you heard of the Artaloom T1 laser engraver? And do you think it'd be worth it as a backup portable machine? I've never heard of them. But now, there again, there's a lot of these companies that come out with basically a collection of parts and put it together. And it's typically going to be a lot of the same parts that you're going to find with some of the other machines. So,
doing a quick look. I'm coming up with an Amazon listing. I wonder if I can share this.
Ooh, that's like a tripod looking thing.
Right. That's what I'm seeing too. This is what I'm seeing. And so $85, 300 milliwatt. It says foldable. That's interesting.
So 3,000 milliwatt, right?
Yeah. So it's a 3 watt. The novelty thing here is that it'll folds up and it'll be out of the way. These smaller lasers, you can find a lot of them in that $90 to $110 range that are anywhere from 3 on up to 10 watts. The 3 watts will be a little bit limited on you. Definitely just mostly engraving. But I have no experience with the company, but some experience with similar style lasers. So you'll definitely be able to engrave some things, and you'll have some really nice detail to them. That's the one nice thing about the lower wattage lasers. But yeah, if you want some, an idea of the capability of that, I've got a couple of. Last year, I went through a number of kind of these smaller portable lasers. There's the Acmer, I forget which model number it was, the S1 or something like that. The Atom Stack P1, the Sculpt Fun C1, and then some of the enclosed ones that'll give you some idea of what it's capable of. But I can't speak to the Artilume as to its actual like longevity, or they've got kind of that top bar. It looks like they've got adjustment.
Look up their U1 version of that. They've got a U1. They've got the T1 and the U1. The U1's a little more expensive, but it's a 150 by 200 that looks a lot like some of the ones that me and you've tested. But yeah.
Yeah, I see even the S1, that's up to $136. When I had it, I think it was like $99. So they've definitely gone up in price. Yeah. But
yeah, they have that Artilume or whatever, they have one listed. It's called a U1, which is $130, but it's a 3 watt and looks like a 12 watt for $219. So, companies like Acemer, Atom Stack, a lot of these companies have little small machines that you can get. Longer has one. The only thing that I would caution you is be careful with some of these lasers and make sure that it's like you can run it with Lightburn and it's not just like some little independent mobile app. Because I have seen some of these machines where, it's not necessarily going to be ideal for running it with Lightburn if that's what you're planning on using. You'll wind up having to use it in some kind of little like laser app on your phone or something like that.
Yeah, Chris, marketing department, new model will be insert random letter 1. That seems like that way.
Yeah, they tend to do that a lot. Bill, you're welcome there, sir. I hope you get them going. Bill was having some issues today with, I think he said 2 longer Ray 5s. I don't know if he ever got it working or not. But they were both mysteriously having the same issue, which made me lean towards not necessarily being a laser problem, more of a software problem. But I don't know.
Here's an interesting question. Hey, Clack Ventari, what piece of gear do you regret buying the most?
I don't really have any like regret because I'm really bad about putting off purchases until I just can't. So I really don't have any big regrets. Like, because most everything I've bought, I use, or unless I've upgraded and got something better, because there is that. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one because, like I said, I'm very, very like research heavy. Like I typically know what I'm getting into before I buy. And I've already got a plan on how I'm going to pay for it or recoup.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually it comes down to exercise equipment.
Just see, I don't buy a lot of that. Over the years, when I used to go to the gym or whatever, I always have one provided. So it's not that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of people are like, hey, if you're buying a treadmill, make sure you get one with the handlebar rails. That way it can at least be used as a coat hanger.
Well, see, and that's where we're a little different because Brandy puts in like 2-3 miles a day on her treadmill. So now I don't use it. I don't. I literally would use it more for laundry before I'd use it for anything. But I don't get on the treadmill. I usually get around 10 to 12,000 steps out here in the yard anyway. So I just call that my exercise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's regret, but there's some things that I don't use as much as I thought I might, just because sometimes the projects or the stuff changes. Doesn't necessarily mean that I regret it. Just maybe might mean that I use it less. Um, I used to have like a benchtop router table, and then I got because we have a. I should preface this with the Rockler store that's closest to me is the one that takes all of the internet returns, and it processes them through an outlet section. So if a person returns it because there's a scratch on something, it goes into the outlet, and it's often like 25 to 50, 60% off.
Oh, I
And
need
so
one live near here.
it's easy to go up there and go, oh, hey, look, someone returned this. I don't, in my shop, it's probably going to get dust and, it's going to get a scratch eventually. I don't care as long as it functions. So I've done things like I've got a router table with the Rockler lift. Now I don't use it as much as I might, and it takes up space in the shop, but I still like having it for certain times. A lot of times I'll just grab the handheld trim router and that's good enough. But if I'm doing a lot of items, setting them up on the router table is nice. I don't know. I could talk about a lot of Ender 3s that were very annoying.
Now I did get rid of my Ender 3, but it was fun for a while though. I mean, I feel like I got my money worth out of it because I learned a lot of what not to get in a laser. But I've got I guess most of the tools that I've got, like all my woodworking tools, I don't use all of them as much as I used to when I was like heavier into like, the cutting tools instead of lasers and CNCs. But I still use them from time to time. Like the joiner, I don't use the joiner much anymore because but when you need a joiner, there's really nothing you can, like, there's no substitute for a joiner. You know what I mean? You could kind of get away with not having a table saw because I got my little job site table saw because
I can never get away from having a table saw.
Yeah, I would love to have a room for a big one, like a sure enough.
I'll tell you, I gave up my compound miter saw before I gave up my table saw because
if I had a really big table saw, like if I had one of the ones with like big off feed tables and stuff, I could see that because if I had a sled, I could do most of everything I want with a sled and a table saw.
Yeah, because if
I don't have a table saw that you could use a sled with. I got my little job site to walk.
Yeah, and that does make a difference. But I mean, I can break down material with a couple. Well, actually, I use the table saw as half the bed, but I'll rough cut it with a jigsaw, or I'll use if you get you either make yourself like a door board, or if you've got a track saw, or a Craig type adapter, you can rip them down really easily. So for me, the table saw is kind of the heart of the shop. It gets used probably on every job, whether I'm breaking down material or doing miters or things like that. It's just I did get rid of my compound miter saw because anytime I wanted to use it, there was stuff in the way because stuff just got moved over there because I wasn't using it. So I guess as far as I didn't regret using it because back when I was, doing more like carpentry and like doing trim and such, you can't beat it for that. But for that, honestly, I would get a more portable, smaller one. I had the 12-inch blade slider,
Yeah,
I would get something that I can put on a shelf, take with me to a basement or something like that to cut down trim boards and not, not the big one, but.
Yeah, if you're just doing trim, to be honest with you, the little Makita or one of the battery-powered little chop saws, those would be awesome for that.
Yeah.
This one, if you're building like porches and decks where you're doing like 2x10s, 2x12s, that's where this thing right here shines because I've got the sliding miter, double miter over here, and this thing Like you can cut some slabs, and that's what I got it for. Was when I was doing a lot with the 2-inch thick cedar planks and stuff. It just makes it so much easier to just peel those and rip those, rather than trying to do it with a skill saw. Because with a skill saw, you got to make sure you got the weight distributed just right, or it'll pinch and all that. With this and a couple of roller jacks, like you can break down some real thick material. But yeah, I still use it on my stove cover stuff, but I've got a jig set up on it to where I cut my little sideboards, and that's really all I use it for anymore, is chopping those sideboards up. And that's every now and then I'll use it on an actual project, but other than that, it just sits there.
Yeah,
I just need more space though. I don't want to get rid of it because I do use it for stuff, but I need more space before I can get me a big table saw.
Yeah, if I ever get into a situation where I'm remodeling a house again, I used to have like rental properties, and when we bought our house, it was probably doing more projects on it. But if I get in that situation, I'm going to do like what you say, get one of those smaller portable ones for being able to do those miters on trim work and such. I don't envision myself doing full up construction on too many things in the near future. So
yeah,
and that's the thing too, is there's a lot of places around here I could rent the tools if I need it for that stuff too. So for my shop, they would just take up space. But yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one. I guess, more specific to some of the gear we talk about here. Now, I didn't have to pay for them, but had I would have been discouraged. But it's those smoke purifiers that.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like more places are coming out with better ones now. But the first ones, like a year or two ago, where it's like a 3-layer. They've got the foam layer, they've got the HEPA layer, and the activated carbon. They were great for a few hours, but then they stopped working well. They would get plugged up. You could clean the foam padding, and if you're just doing like light engraving, probably okay. And they're still kind of all right. They're better than nothing for, say, doing an outdoor show or whatnot, where you want to cut down and not really annoy your neighbors. But the upfront cost of them often being a few $100s, and then the full stack of filters usually being about $100. They just don't last long enough, and that would have been I think a regretful purchase. And that's also why, I never really talked a whole lot about them on the channel, is that they sent them out and I just told them, like, these don't perform well enough. So that would have been probably a discouraging, or maybe a regretful purchase, but yeah.
Bill, from what I saw earlier, I don't think that's a Lightburn update issue. It's either going to be a machine profile, or like I said, that's about the only thing I can think of it's going to be. But just check the things that I told you to check, and if that's not it, I would definitely reach out to Longer. But anyway,
Sharon's asking, I just got a roll of Sunlu clear transparent PLA. Is there anything special that I should be aware of? I couldn't find much info on it. Not explicitly, just understand that it's clear, but it's not like glass clear. But your settings are probably going to be about the same. It might be a little closer to silk depending on the actual PLA. I don't think I've run Sunlu, but I wouldn't run it at like necessarily the same high speeds you might with a normal matte color. It tends to be a little more of like a glossy or a silk type PLA. So you might need to back off your speeds a little bit to get a good it's like an outside layer, maybe slow down your wall extrusions. But no, for the most part, it's going to run about the same. But like I say, maybe just look for a silk profile to run it at. But also just set your expectations to where it's going to be kind of like a frosted look in most cases.
Yeah, now I don't know about that stuff, but I know some of the PLA, like some of the silks and some of the, like I got some transparent and some glow in the dark stuff like that. Some of those through Bamboo, they recommend using the hardened nozzle. I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't know that I've run into that.
All of the transparent or translucent is that way, but I know some of Bamboo's translucent says it recommends a
Yeah.
hard steel nozzle.
A
So
lot of that. Sometimes some of the transparent or translucent ones will have like additives, like almost like micro glitter or things like that. That might be, but so yeah, that is something to maybe look into, because it
yeah.
could be a little more abrasive on the brass ones.
I don't think it'll hurt anything other than maybe wear out your nozzle a little faster.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That
depending on the job, it can wear it out fast, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, it started out great, but
yeah, now it looks like I'm squeezing toothpaste over here.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, somebody was talking about the equipment a while ago. A lot of these tools, though, that one thing that I will add is one reason why I don't have a whole lot of buyer's remorse is a lot of the tools that you see in my shop, as far as the woodworking tools, those were marketplace finds, flea market, yard sale, pawn shop. Like that's where a lot of that stuff came from. So like my double beveled sliding miter over here, I think I paid $200 for it, and it came with the little roll around like cart that had the legs that fold out and everything. But I bought it off of Marketplace. I just happened to pull up Marketplace one day, and boom, there it was. And the guy lived like right down the street, and I'm like, heck yeah. And he had done trim work for a living, and what had happened was he bought this one, and I guess the motor wore out in it or something, but he couldn't wait to get a motor in to get it fixed. So he went and bought him a new one. And then after, the new one came in, he got around to replacing the motor. He got like DeWalt or whatever to send him a new motor for this one, put the new motor on it. And then he just had an extra one. So he's like, you know what? I don't need this in my shop. I'm cleaning my shop out, and put it on Marketplace cheap. And so I bought it, and he told me when I picked it up, he's like, yeah, that motor's brand new. He said, but now the machine itself's been used a lot in my business. And so I was like, well, heck, I'm a casual user at best. So if it took you that long to wear this one motor out, it'll probably last me forever. And I've had it now for about 5 years, and I haven't had any problems with it. Other than, of course, the DeWalt, dust collection tube on these sliding miters. Like I think all of them explode and fall apart. This one was exploded and fell apart before I got it. So it just doesn't do a real good job at collecting the dust. I've seen some 3D printable ones out there. I need to download one of those and put on there and see if that helps. But I just know more than I use it. It's not a big priority for me.
Yeah, I originally outfitted my shop with, like you say, there was a friend of mine was retiring, downsizing, so I kind of bought out some things from his shop, and I found other deals from people. They haven't all worked out, but the nice thing about a lot of those is when you find them on Facebook Marketplace, if you get the right enough price, get the right deal on it to begin with. If you find out you don't use it as much, you can often get most of your money back. In some cases, even more, depending on the deal. But you do got to be careful. You got to try to make sure that it does work, and maybe find out how they used it. That was okay. So that was one I did buy on Facebook Marketplace. It was a square hole mortising tool. So it's like a drill press that drills square holes, right? So it's got a drill bit in the middle, and then basically 4 chisels on the outside of the bit. And it's great for making mortise and tenon type joinery. And so this was pre-COVID, before I started doing more active stuff with videos on this, I was playing around with building more of my own furniture. And this came up on Facebook Marketplace. The guy was selling it. It was his dad's. His dad had passed away, and he was selling off his workshop, and it was a really good price. And I drove about 45 minutes for it. I think I used it like 3 times. And then finally, I think last year I was like, I'm never going to use this. I've got a domino type joiner. I'm just not going to use this anymore. So put it back out on Facebook Marketplace, and I think I got 90% of my cash back out of it about 5 years later, after having it sit around and basically not get used. So it's definitely a good thing to look out for. Auctions as well, you can find some good deals. Just make sure you're getting a good enough deal that if there is some repair, it's still worth it, and or you can resell it, get your money back out of it. New is, you're always going to take a loss, so you better make sure you're going to use it, make sure it's useful. But when you're buying new, you're not inheriting other people's problems, because I've had that too, where why is this machine cutting so weird? And I find out they had maybe set it up wrong and tried to shim it weird, and I had to kind of break it back down and maybe replace a part instead of have their weird pop can shim in there that was making it a couple of degrees off. So
To my tools, I'm pretty sure this is it. I got 2 of them. this was one of my very first pawn shop buys. And man, I have used this thing so much, and I've dropped it and banged it and beat it, and it just keeps going. I got 2 of them now. I wound up buying another set from pawn shop too. But
here's another thing too. I had bought a larger set of 20 volt or 18 volt or whatever. It's a drill, and it's a driver. I think they're Rigid brand and such. Not the kit ones that they're okay, but they're usually kind of more their value ones. They were like the individual ones, and they're very nice, but they're very heavy tools. And I found, even when building like cabinetry and such, they're sometimes too big. So I picked up a set of the 12 volt Milwaukee drill and driver. Probably 9 times out of 10, I use those over the bigger tools. They're easier on, they're more lightweight. They're easier to get into tight areas, and they have just as much power. They have enough power for what I need. Now, when I have to drill a hole through concrete, I grab the other one with the hammer drill option, right? But so that I kind of overbought in the first round. Still nice to have them for the occasion that I need the power, but 9 times out of 10, the 12 volt tools are easier to use, lighter to use, and more versatile. But yeah, the follow-up question that Duck Wood is asking is, any tool you wish you would have purchased sooner? For me, it's a track saw, is what he says. Yeah, I found a deal on a track saw during COVID as well. Someone had bought some tools and then changed careers, and so that was a nice one. Could in some cases replace a table saw, but a tool that I wish I would have bought sooner. Boy, that's a good question. I don't know. What about you? You got one you wish?
I wish I got it. Looking back, I should have got a CNC a little faster. I drug my feet on that one, but I was still learning the laser stuff early on. So,
okay. A quality sander. If you spend any amount of time sanding, investing in a quality sander and dust collection with the sander, it's kind of a whole package deal, and you will spend some money on it. I don't dread sanding near as much as I used to with having a nice quality sander and a good matched dust extractor to it. So,
well, I'm still rocking the DeWalt, but I do have the DeWalt's dual HEPA sanding dust collection system. So, I mean, it's probably not as good as some on the market, but it's definitely better than what it used to be, using the little, the little bag that you have to like beat the dust out of. It's better than that. So,
yeah.
Chris, part of the issue that with what Bill has been telling me is he's got 2 machines that had the exact same problem at the exact same time, which lends me to believe that it's not the machines themselves, it's a software related problem. I sent him a profile to use that I know is a working profile for a longer Ray 5. So unless he's mistaken about them both doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, I don't feel it's a individual machine issue. Maybe they didn't do it at exactly the same time and he just perceives it that way. But for 2 individual machines to have the exact same problem with the only common denominator being the operating machine makes me lean towards the operating machine.
Tony's asking, why would you have to change out a hardened nozzle for a brass? That's going to come down to the thermal properties of it. Brass is its conductivity is faster than steel, and so it It's going to work better on some materials. You'll have better layer adhesion. In some cases, it'll be more consistent temperature. You won't have like the spikes and the troughs that you could get with a steel nozzle, because that is more affected by changes. So it's just better at staying consistent with its heat, and which can then bring, when you have those fluctuations, that can cause random issues with stringing, adhesion, layer separation, things like that. So when you don't have to run it, the brass will be more it's going to be easier to dial in, more consistent. It's going to cause fewer problems. It's basically what it is. But in some filaments, like, carbon fiber infused, wood infused, and some metal infused ones, the abrasiveness of that will wear out the brass really fast and cause the similar issues. So
yeah, that would be my thing. Is the brass is going to give you more of a consistent across the entire inner surface area. You get a little more consistent heat than like with steel. So Santa's saying that he got a 3D printer question. I've run several ducts. Yes, I have a Jeep that had infill, so it was stiff. But I know if you change the infill some, you can run TPU and make it a hollow type, like you can buy. Yeah, you should be able to run those out of TPU, I would imagine. And even with a higher, I mean, you wouldn't want them infield if you're trying to make them flexible as much. But I mean, you're still going to have some support, like bridging inside there.
Yeah, I don't have my example here in front of me, but you can definitely print out a hollow TPU object, and then so like I made a little squishy like air blower kind of thing when I was doing the test.
Yeah, I remember watching your video on that now.
On that one, and then more recently, I did the bristle the bristles for the dust shoe out of TPU, and they're very flexible. So, but yeah, you can do a hollow object like that. A more complex one like a duck, you might have to do a little playing to get that dialed in. But yeah, if you want it to be squishy, it shouldn't be a problem.
Seth says stainless steel is small, test is difficult. It is better to engrave with a diode or CO2. I have a 20 and a 40 watt CO2 diode and a 65 watt CO2. Where's a good starting point? Stainless, I would say, is probably going to be, you're probably going to get a darker engrave if you're trying to just mark the stainless. I would imagine with a blue. What have you done a lot of stainless with CO2s? Because I use CO2s on tumblers because they don't mark the stainless as quick as a blue laser does. In my experience.
Yeah. I honestly, going on straight stainless steel when you're looking for the black, I've had better luck with the CO2.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never tried to get black marks with a.
Yeah, I have a couple of cups that when I first got my, almost 10 years ago now, when I was playing around with the rotary, I had bought a couple of like cheap, I don't know, Harbor Freight mugs or something like that, and they're still nice and dark, still strong, and it was just straight engrave off of that. But I mean, I'll be honest, if you want a nice dark engrave on stainless steel, I would still go with the like Surmark and such. It's going to
get really good contrast.
It's going to look a lot better.
Now it will wear off after about 4 or 5 years of dishwashers, though.
Well, okay, maybe dishwashing, but hand washing they won't.
No, this has been in the dishwasher, and I think I left it laying in like the back of my truck for a little while. I mean, this one's been through a hard time.
But it's you're gonna get the true, like, a real dark gray or a black engrave from that. You're gonna be hard pressed not to have just like a brownish tinge to the straight stainless steel. So but yeah, I mean, with the 20 or the 40 watt diode, either one is going to be good. The other thing to consider is that your CO2, depending on what brand and what controller, it's probably going to be faster.
Yep. Yeah, this was a coated tumbler that I used for testing, and I sanded it down and used some Cerakote on it. But this has been a while, and I use this thing a lot. Like it has been abused. I'll have to play around with that. I haven't done any just straight up. I don't ever do just straight up stainless ones because I like high contrast, and I'm not really crazy about using mark and spray on metals. It works, but I would rather do a black tumbler and engrave it silver. You know.
Yeah, Mark, that's one of the sanders I have. The 3x4 square uses the foam pads, and those are really good for getting kind of inside corners of catch-all trays, things like that. But like the 6-inch random orbit from them or Merca, really nice as well. Actually, one of the surf prep guys, one of their support guys and their trade show guys actually lives in town here. I ran into him at the Minnesota Woodworking Expo. And turns out he's the neighbor of the my boss's admin assistant. So
cool. Sharon says, "Can you use the harder nozzle instead of the stock one, or are they for special circumstances?"
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we just said. Is that you can use it, but the brass ones are going to be more consistent on, and if you don't need to be running a stain or the hardened steel one, it's just going to make your life a little bit easier with your typical like PLA, PETG, things like that, TPU. They're just going to be easier to work with. You could still run the steel ones, but you may run into some additional issues with just the thermal changes.
Roger. I'm trying to go through the comments.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris, I sent him a working profile that I backed up from my longer Array 5. So yeah, we've went through, like I've went through the whole gamut on this. So but the fact that, again, if you have two cars that fill up with gas at a gas station and both of them quit 2 miles down the road, you know, because he says he's got two machines, one of them in the house quit doing this specific problem, and then he went out to the shop, and the one in the shop quit doing this specific problem. I think the problem is being carried around in the form of a computer. It's something there, pretty confident. Unless there was a lightning strike and it just so happened to kill both machines and nothing else. But yeah, I've done, like I said, check voltages, check this, check that. It is sending a signal to the laser head because he sent me a video and it shows the illumination on the laser head itself coming on. So I think it's time to reach out to Longer and see if this is something they may be like, yeah, we've had 100 of those already have problems. Here's your part. It'll be there in 3 days. I would definitely reach out to them, because if it is a problem with the machines, if 2 of them have had the same problem, then they should know what it is.
Greg's asking, have I added any new glues to the glue cabinet lately? I haven't, but
wouldn't surprise me.
But you did remind me that I do need to order some. So one of my current favorites for just your typical wood glue is the Boss Dog stuff. It dries clear, and it's fairly quick. So I've used a number of like the Type-Ons and such, and there's reasons you might want to use like Type-On 3 if you're doing a cutting board, because it's a little more waterproof. They do have more of like a quick dry one, but it leaves this really nasty white chalky residue if you don't get it cleaned up right away. I've been really happy with the Boss Dog stuff, so I gotta order another bottle of that. But nothing new to share right now on glues.
Yeah.
Seth followed up with the stainless steel question. So there's stainless charms, Reno 65 on the CO2, Wondering, should I try hot and fast or low and slow? Haven't done any stainless steel yet. To get you in the ballpark. Now, the thing to remember is that with stainless steel, a lot of it also has to do with
The
the the grade of stainless steel, the thickness of it, how its thermal conductivity is. But
surface area, whether it's polished or not polished.
To get if you want to get in rough ballpark, go to your hardware store, see if they have stainless steel plate covers. They're usually a couple bucks. And they make good, just like rough guess blanks. Hello, Pippin. To kind of at least get you in the ballpark of where your machine's going to be with stainless steel. From there, you're still going to need to do a little dialing in on thicker stainless steel. It's probably going to take a little more power to get the same effect. So that's what I would do. If you're in the Midwest and you got a Menards, they've got some just the stainless steel blanks. They're cover plates. They're just a couple bucks, and you can kind of do top and bottom. It'll get you in the ballpark. But yeah, I would probably go with the Reno because of its speed capabilities over the diodes. Once you do get it dialed in, it's going to be a lot faster.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still trying to decide if I want to take and do a controller swap on the Reno or just pass on it for now. I don't think I need to sink a lot of time in it. I would love to, but I think it's going to be more work than what I'm going to want to contribute to it.
I think if I had the 65 over the 45, I might do it.
Yeah,
just because it gives you a little more room. But yeah, I don't know.
The potential of that machine, though, if they'd have done, oh my gosh, like it's fast. Like it is way faster. Like doing tumblers and stuff. Like it's way faster than this X-Tool P2. Mm-hmm. But they by using that controller, it does not like a chuck. Like, so I'm just a little heartbroken about that. We'll see. But I may be getting another CO2 to put over there. We'll see. I don't know about that either. There's so many variables and so many moving parts right now. I don't know where things are going to go. So we'll see. I've got to rearrange a lot of machines. I got to put, because I've about gave up on any fixes for the debacle with the Omni X. So I'm about ready to put it up in the attic now. And just, I don't want to get rid of it because there may come a day, but it's not doing me any good sitting there.
Yeah.
It's just taking up space. All right.
Jeffrey Stone is asking, has anyone mentioned creating a CNC with a hot tip like a wood burner to do art on carved items? That would be an interesting case. You can, the nice thing about a CNC gantry is you can kind of make your own adapters. So you'll see people that do like drag knife adapters and things like that, where whether they make a block that goes into an existing clamp or they just make a plate that goes on.
I've got a Sharpie adapter for mine.
Yeah, you could make it turn it into a plotter by just making it a pen holder, like a spring loaded type thing. So you could probably do the same thing with like a wood burning iron. You just, like anything, it's going to be playing around with your feed rate, your pressure rate. But that would be kind of a fun, cool, kind of a. It's like the slowest laser.
I would think you'd have to spring load it though, to make sure that if you get to a piece of material that's a little harder, that it doesn't just like snap the end of it off. Because if it's getting hot enough to burn wood, then the metal's probably going to be a little malleable also. So it would be interesting.
Yeah,
especially if it's dragging through there, that would be interesting.
Yeah, you'd almost want
you're talking about one of those drag knives to where
it swivels
and have it spring loaded as well.
Yeah, most of them are, so adapting to a drag knife.
Yeah.
Get a lightweight
soldering iron.
Well, you don't need it to be as bulky because you wouldn't necessarily need to hold it. You don't need the insulated handle because you're not holding it yourself. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I'd set my shop on fire with it though.
Oh, and of course he ran away. Kevin, his name is Pippin. And we adopted him and his brother 2 years ago. We had we have another cat. He's 4 years old. These guys are 2 years old. And so the 4-year-old Loki, we had got him after one of our other cats passed away. And then we had an old cat that adopted us, kind of, that was the one cat. That's the one animal that basically just walked in the house and we ended up adopting. But what we had Suki, and Loki kind of grew up with her, but then she passed away, and Loki kind of needed a friend. And so Carla said she really wanted an orange cat. And I was at the local PetSmart partners with some of the area shelters, and so there were these 2 orange cats that were hanging out there when I was buying some food and some litter. So of course I took a picture and video, sent it to Carla, and she's like, "Yes, we need that one." So we went to go look at the one, and it was kind of the funny thing was the one in his adopted name was, or his shelter name was Chonk, because he was kind of like the stocky, bigger orange cat. And the other one, Pippin, he was the runt of the litter. So they were brothers. And his shelter name was Tiny Tim. So we went to go look at them, and Carla really liked the bigger one. And I'm like, I'm not breaking up. I mean, these 2 are bonded. I'm not breaking up the runt from his bonded brother. So we ended up adopting both of them. She named the other one, and his name is Jeff. So I felt like the other one I got to name, and I said, well, it needs to be something a little more interesting. And I like Lord of the Rings, so call him Pippin. And he's very attached to me, and he is very friendly. So,
Well,
but yeah, no, that's he likes to come down here and a lot of times sit right in front of I actually posted a picture of this on my Facebook page a week or 2 ago. It's like he loves to sit right where my mouse hand and arm needs to go. He can't sit over here or right in front of me. He has to sit right to the right side of me where I kind of need space. But yeah.
Dixie May, I'm not sure about the OMTech K45. I'm sure there's a way that you could do something similar, but I don't have that particular machine, so I can't really speak to that. Tony's asking, did either of you try spray painting a stainless cup, then engraving it with a CO2? I don't know if he means spray painting or if he's talking about like some marking spray or what. But I mean, I haven't done a lot of tumblers with CO2s because I haven't really had one in the past that I could use.
You could spray paint it and then use a CO2 to remove the spray paint. I mean, it'd be similar to doing like the painted canvas.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've got a blank stainless cup, the thing is you got to make sure you get that paint to adhere to it really well. So you might need to use a primer or adhesion promoter and such. But yeah, you could definitely do that and then engrave away the paint to have a interesting design.
Yeah. Joseph, we talked back and forth and had for several months. The problem is, from what I can tell, and I don't have a consumer model. Me and Steve got prototype machines. And that's one reason why I don't like getting prototype machines, is because I can't necessarily tell you, will this affect the consumer models or not? Me and Steve got prototype machines. Worked great. 5-watt worked great. I did all of my engraving on the subsurface. I did some some flat engraving. It worked perfect. It worked great. Well, then they said they were going to send us the 10-watt upgrade. When they sent the 10-watt upgrade, I knew there was a problem when I went to try to connect it, and I had different plugs on my machine than there were on the 10-watt galvanometer, the head. And I had to email them back. I'm like, I'm sending them pictures of like a square plug with a round hole. And I'm like, hey, there's an issue. And so they wound up sending several of us, not just me and Steve, but there were several folks that had their prototype, and they ended up sending us adapter cables, and you had to disassemble the base part of the machine and take the cable loose from the board and then take the adapter cable and plug it into the board and put it back together. And we did that, and it kind of worked. Like if you didn't pay attention, you would think it worked. But what got me was I was trying to do some engravings, and I had set them to a certain size, and I engraved it. And just because I do a lot of this stuff, I'm like, that's not the right size. And so I measured it, and the size was off. So I'm like, okay, I need to calibrate my lens because it's different. And I've tried again, walked away from it to keep from destroying it, and came back 2 weeks later and tried some more. And I cannot get it to calibrate in ComMarker software. I can kind of sort of make it work in Lightburn without autofocus, but the problem is you're limited because the bigger you make your shape, you start getting that where it looks like the corners have been pulled out to where like it just misshapens it. It won't make a square if you get too big with it. And so I reached out to Steve. Steve checked his machine and it was doing the same thing. And of course, checked with some other people that had the same machine, same situation, and they had the same problem. Some of them didn't check to see if they had the same problem, but I'm sure they did. But that's the whole thing is this new 10-watt head won't calibrate. So you either have to like put in your measurements and then frame it, burn it, and then measure it and scale it up to get it the measurement you want, or you have to settle for it being misshapen. It just I can't get it to calibrate, and I'm pretty sure Steve has tried as much, if not more, stuff than I have, and he hasn't told me the solution to the problem either. So
yeah, no, same problems here is that I can't get it to consistently cut or engrave. If I enter in a size, it won't do it. And so, they sent a really bad video on how to calibrate it, which works better in Lightburn than their software. But even in Lightburn, I couldn't get it to calibrate to where I was getting squares at larger sizes and being a specific shape. So they did send me a couple different lenses to try, thinking like, oh, well, 250 is too big. You got to use these others. Same problems. And my last communication with them after showing them all of the stuff I've done and handing them or showing them videos of me doing it and photos of them doing it is I'm measuring it wrong. And I'm like, that's not helpful. That's not the case. Yeah. I've done it multiple times. I'm using I'm using a digital caliper. I'm not using a tape measure and going, well, that looks to be about 5 3/4 inches. I'm getting it down to, if I was off, we were talking about less than 1/10 of a millimeter off. Yeah. And it wouldn't be this far out of shape if it was just that far off. So there's something messed up with our machines. And I think, yeah.
And the bad thing is they made us send back the 5-watt modules. So if I had the 5-watt, I could slap the 5-watt back on there and be fine. But I sent that back to them.
So if you're just engraving and you just frame it to say I need it to be this size and you adjust that, yeah, sure, it's fine. But if you need something to be an exact size, or even crystal engravings, I would set it to be yay big, fit into this, and then all of a sudden, well, why is the thing going through the bottom?
Yeah, or why is it,
or why is it going through the top of the crystal?
Why is it smaller, or like it doesn't have an arm because the arm's outside the crystal? Yeah. So because it scaled it up or down. So
unfortunately, kind of, it's just gone silent. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Now the Omni 1, great, working wonderful. My other fibers from them working great, working wonderful, but that machine, like Clack said, where we got prototypes, they're not working well for us.
Yeah, I feel strongly that if we had the original controller, the original like the consumer machine, like the whole machine, I think we'd have been fine. Because I haven't heard anybody like, because me and you both have videos out still with the Omni X, and I haven't had anybody come in the comments going, I ordered this and it's been a piece of crap, or nobody's mentioned it. You know what I mean? So I think it has to do with the fact that we had the prototypes. They wanted to upgrade us to the 10 watts. That's why you haven't seen a video of mine on the 10-watt head. I sent him an email. I'm like, look, I can't do it because this is not working. So that's the only thing. Like I said, my Omni One, it's dead on, and that's what they kept telling me. Like, well, like Steve said, you're calibrating it wrong. No, because we calibrated our other lasers, and they work fine. It's not like this is our first rodeo with a Galvo laser, and yeah, it's just I think they mismatched. Something's mismatched somewhere in there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the settings inside the controller that was written to it in the firmware on the machine. I don't know where it is, but somewhere there's a mismatch in some stuff because you have to start even in Lightburn. I had to take and manipulate the numbers to get it to do a square shape, and I did get it to where I can use the 50 or no, the 70 millimeter and the 150 in Lightburn, and it's okay for engraving. Now you can't do anything precise with it. You just have to kind of reframe it and shape it and size it based on the frame. But yeah, it's like I said, I've never had those kind of problems with the Com Marker machine. I haven't heard a lot of blowback off of the Omni X. Everybody loves them. So I'm assuming it was because of our prototype machines, and that's why I don't like getting prototype machines. That's like, what is it? We Create just released this machine, and everybody's saying that it's a prototype, and this is not going to be the way that the machine that they release is going to be. I don't like that because, you know what I mean? I can't help people that have the actual aftermarket or the release day machine. I can't help you because my machine is not like yours. Usually the prototypes have a lot of hot glue inside them. And like I've had them before where it looked like they drilled holes in it with a hole saw and put parts in there. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with some of these prototypes. So, but hopefully the Omni X as a whole doesn't have this issue because, like I said, nobody has messaged me and said, "Hey, I have this problem with my Omni X." So I'm assuming it's literally our prototypes that are the problem. But I can't do a video with it. So.
Yeah. Dirte427 says, not sure if you guys have talked about it yet or not, but what's your opinion on the new We Create Lumos Ultra? Are you guys planning on doing a review of one?
I'll let you take this one, Steve.
No, I am not planning on doing a review of one.
Oh, that was easy.
I am not on We Create's Christmas card list anymore. Their original Lumos was a decent machine, but I had nothing but problems with their Vision series, and they and I did not see eye to eye on it. And I just kind of told them, I said, I'm done. I'm tired of the back and forth with you guys. So I don't envision them sending me one. I've seen a few things out on it. It's a mixed machine between a UV and a Galvo. I think 60 and 100 watt options.
Yeah.
The odd thing that Clack and I have talked about is you have to change power supplies depending on which mode you're running in, but the UV versus the MOPA, which seems a little kludgy. And yeah, I haven't. I'll be the one creator that I know that has one that I feel like I respect the most is James Dean Designs, and he's still working with his. So I'll be curious to see what he has to say about it. Now, I think this is his first UV laser, so I don't think he has anything to compare it to. But I'll be curious to see what he says about it.
Yeah, like I said, I've watched the few videos that are out there because, like I said, We Create had been after us about doing this machine like for a while, and like I said, we had some issues. I've had issues that I've brought to their attention before on the very first We Create machine they came out with about the airline rubbing on a piece of stamped steel that was cutting into the airline. And they told me they were going to address that and it wouldn't be that way in the production models. Fast forward a year later and everybody's trying to find where to buy the airlines. So there's been a few things that I've disagreed with We Create on over the years. The first year me and Steve went to CES, we actually met with a guy from We Create. He came to us and said, "Hey, I want to meet you guys while y'all are here so we can talk face to face." And we talked to him, and me and Steve both gave him a chance and talked to the guy and was like, "Hey, we'll deal with you. We'll give you another chance," because he told us they had some administrative changes made in the company. They were changing the way they did business and all that. And then came the what was it, the 45 Pro? Yeah, it was the 45 Pro and the Lumos. The Lumos is not a terrible machine. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but I mean, they kept it simple. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. I didn't have a problem with it. I did like doing tumblers with it. It was pretty cool, but they haven't really changed the design of the Vision series in quite a while, and there's still some issues. Like Steve said, he had some issues with his, and it's engineering things that they could have fixed. Like they could have just like moved some parts around, or did a little bit better job of assembly. I think the first one you had, Steve, you had to completely disassemble it and put it back together. I mean, there's been some issues, but the way they were pushing this Lumos Ultra or whatever, it just scared me. And so me and Steve both decided that we was going to sit this one out. And now that I've seen some of the videos, I'm not going to lie, I don't know why they released it where you got to have 2 power supplies for one machine. That makes no sense to me. I mean, give it a power supply that is capable of powering the 100-watt module and everything below there, and call it done. That way, so that's a little odd to me that you have to change the power supply out. Because I mean, if that's like saying that a 24 volt, like an 18-wheeler or an RV, has to have 2 sets of batteries to go 24 to 12 volt. Just give it the overpowered control, the overpowered power supply, and go with it. So that kind of concerns me a little bit. But like I said, the Lumos was probably their best machine yet, in my opinion. But it's just, we've had some headaches dealing with them in the past. And like I said, Steve, up until recently, was still having some issues with the machine that they had sent him. So we just, between the two of us, we were just like, you know what, we're going to sit this one out, because it did feel a little rushed to me. And so I think my evaluation was correct in setting it out. I'm just gonna be honest with you, from what I've seen so far. So.
Yeah, I never got the 45 Pro to function reliably. It would get working. I'm like, okay, it looks like it's going good, and then a few jobs down the line, I'd have issues again. And so, and after struggling with a little of initial stuff on the 20, yeah.
Yeah, I know you were really mad with that 20.
Yeah. Well, the 20 I got working fine, and that's but I had to rebuild half of it. I had to take it apart. I had to tighten things up. I had to fix some wires and such, and then it was kind of reliable. I've got a friend who's been using it and doing well with his business, as an additional laser for him, not his only laser, but and the Lumos, yes. Other than their initial. The thing that really turns me off about them and makes me feel like they're cutting corners is a lot of their lasers initially are set to unidirectional engraving instead of bidirectional. And that just tells me they don't trust their hardware to be consistent.
Yeah.
Now they did open up the Lumos to be bidirectional, which is good. It was a decent machine, and probably the best one I've seen of theirs. But yeah, between prototype machines with other companies, I find myself, I don't want to be troubleshooting machines for people. I don't want to be working with prototype machines. And if a company has a track record of sending me things I got to work on before I can actually figure out a review, I don't want to anymore. So that's just where We Create sits with me. So I know some people love them and have good luck with them. I'm glad for them that way, but that's just not been my experience.
Yeah. And like I said, some folks, I got a friend of mine that he has all three of the We Create machines that I've had, and they've all worked okay. Like I said, that one machine, it was cutting into the air hose, which I took me some sandpaper and sanded down the edge and put a zip tie in there, and I did some tweaking and was able to fix it to where it didn't cut my air assist line. I haven't had as many problems as Steve had with the Vision machines, but like I said, there were red flags on this one for me, and I didn't. And I've made it a point to go and watch the videos that have been put out on the machine, and I see some people saying that they hadn't heard about it having two power supplies, and maybe not all of them have two power supplies, but I know that Nick over at Build Dad Build did a video on it, and he actually went around and showed how you have to swap you have to pull the fiber cable out of the back of it if you want to remove the MOPA. Like if you're not using it, you can leave it in there, but like literally the stinger that comes, if anybody's ever put one together, there's like a wand basically that connects to the end of the fiber optic cable. There's a hole in the back of the machine that you plug that into, and then there's two power supplies. You have to swap if you go from the UV to the MOPA, you have to swap the power supply, is what Nick was saying. And that's all I'm basing it on, is the videos that I've watched. And I've watched 2 or 3 different videos, and I agree. Some of them didn't mention the power supply swap, which I think that's kind of, I kind of wanted to know because you don't see it in any of the marketing pictures anyway either. So, but like I said, maybe it turns out to be a great machine. I don't know. It was a decision to sit this one out because I just didn't feel it. So we set it out. And like I said, Steve and I both agreed that it didn't sound like one we wanted to get into this go around.
Yeah.
So
Rob Wilson is asking, good evening, gents. Do you know if Xtool will ever make the F2 compatible with Lightburn? I previously had a We Create Vision. Now I know how they develop their software. I still run Lightburn on Home Tech. I don't know, because the F2 I believe is still similar controller to the F1, so I think it's possible. But I feel like Xtool has kind of gone. They've basically stated that all their new lines are going to be just Creative Space or Xtool Studio.
Yeah, but here's my thing with the F2, because I've got the F2. It's sitting right there with the camera, with the smart air purifier that you can connect to it, with all the different attachments that you can connect to it, even the rotary, the little bed slinger, conveyor, whatever thing, all the different attachments. I have Lightburn. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would rather run it in the Xtool software because of those extra features. If I didn't want those extra features, I'd just run it on like the Omni One or something if I wanted to run it in Lightburn. If you buy an Xtool, a current model Xtool machine, in my opinion, you need to buy it understanding that you're going to run Xtool Studio if you want those features to be used. If you're not going to run Xtool Studio, you're better off to go buy something that is strictly a Lightburn machine, because you're not going to be able to use those features with Lightburn anyway, and the features is what costs you extra. So.
Well, and they don't charge you for Xtool. Now they do have certain features. They don't charge you for their software. There are certain features in their software that take credits that can cost money, but you can still design in Lightburn, do all your
That's what I do most of the time,
and then just export as SVG, import it, set up your layers, and run with the machine that way. So if you like the machine's capabilities or whatever, still a decent machine. In Xtool Studio, it's not Creative Space anymore. It's pretty decent software. You just got to learn its kind of quirks. So yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if everything worked on Lightburn, but yeah, I think across the board. I mean, even the like the Omni X, technically you can run it in Lightburn, but only in 2-axis mode. You can't run that 3rd axis through Lightburn. So now that may change over time, But as you start seeing more of these smart lasers with kind of their own features, I think you're going to start running into more of these problems. Now, the good companies are going to work with them. Excel Laser is sending them a couple of their controllers to Lightburn so that they can work on the full integration with it. Alien Cell developed theirs; they've got their software, but they made sure to work with Lightburn to make sure that their lasers will work with it. So, but X-Tool being who they are, and having kind of a big market share in the hobbyist laser arena, and again, I think they're not targeting per se the tinkerers or the real true industrial users of their software. They're targeting the smaller business, the people who probably haven't worked with one in the past. They're targeting the people who want like an easy kind of their handheld kind of interface. And it does work well for that, but they're not targeting, I think, the industrial or the tinkerer aspect of the hobby or the business.
Yeah. I'm gonna mess this name up, but anyway, it's saying that literally just bought the 45 Pro today and put $50 on the Kickstarter for the Ultra. Like I said, if you are okay with We Create software and everything, the 45 Pro, I personally didn't have any major issues out of it other than that whole unidirectional engraving thing, which they argued to the end of the world that it was just as fast as bidirectional, which I'm not a physics major, but if you run one direction and walk the other, the guy that's running both directions is going to outrun you in the race. So I don't understand how they can say that, unidirectional is faster than bidirectional, but that was really the only thing. And I think they actually wound up, like Steve said, with the Lumos, they ended up activating it after they caught a bunch of slack about it. But it was just the whole experience with We Create as a whole is kind of, it's not been great at all. So, I mean, and like I said, the machines that I've had, mine that I had, my reviews are honest to God reviews. And I even in the things that I didn't like about them, I pointed it out in the reviews. I didn't really care for the machines because I didn't like their software. I felt like the unidirectional thing, or omnidirectional, whatever you want to call it, the unidirectional, I felt like that was kind of holding the machine back. And I had some, in some of the We Create user groups, I had seen where there were some people having a lot of the problems that we had kind of warned them about with the machines. And so it just was one of those to where I just decided not to take this machine. So, I'm not down talking them. I'm not saying that all their machines are garbage. I mean, but I will tell you that from what I've saw about this machine so far, I think they rushed it. I think that's what the problem is. I think that's why it's got two power supplies in these videos, is they rushed it out before they developed it fully, trying to be the first ever, because that's big with first ever this, first ever that, and nobody wants the first one. They want the best one. So that's my take on that. But maybe it works out. I really hope it does. A UV laser is pretty cool. I've seen some of the engravings that some of the folks have been doing with the UV. I think if they'd have just made it a UV laser, I think it would have done pretty well, as long as you like their software. But I think when they're trying to cram this fiber into it too, that I see there's a high potential for a lot of burn up lenses if you're not careful. But it says it'll warn you. But I also heard a couple of them say that it'll warn you, but you can still, it will still burn, because it said if you continue after the warning, you will destroy the lens. So I'm kind of curious if there's no hard fail safe, or if it's just he was just assuming. So I don't know about that. But yeah. But we'll see. Like I said, maybe it works out.
Yeah, and I mean, research other creators as well. Research other people who have had the machine as well. Just because I've had 2 bad experiences with them doesn't make them a bad company. Might just be dumb luck on my part for getting units built on a Friday. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
you did have some bad luck. I got to give you that because he got a little mad at me because mine were working. He's like, "How the hell do you always get the ones that work?" I don't know.
So yeah, we're just we're sharing our experience with it.
Yeah, and like I said, I set this one out. I'm not taking shots at them necessarily. Are they my favorite? No, I mean they're not. But there again, I mean I'm brand agnostic. I really don't care who the company is. I want a product that is a good product and then it works. And sometimes I want fancy bells and whistles, and other times I just want a bare bones essential machine. It just depends. And sometimes I think these companies try to cram too much in a package, and it's like putting 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. Sometimes it causes problems, so that kind of worries me, but maybe they pull it off.
Yeah.
Like I said, the UV engravings that I've saw look pretty nice. I ain't gonna lie. Nobody has told me yet though, and if anybody sees this or if anybody knows, did they put a framing laser in this thing? Because that was one of my big arguments with the Omni 1 and the Omni X, were that it didn't have a framing laser. And I haven't seen it in any of the videos that I've watched so far. I see the focusing dots, but I haven't seen the framing laser. So I'm kind of curious if they put a framing laser in it. Nobody's mentioned it in the videos that I've watched so far.
Yeah. Rob Fight's asking, do I need to use an inline fan with the alien cell when using an X-Tool AP2? You wouldn't need to. The AP2 is going to draw air on its own. It's going to depend on the length that you're trying to run it to. Of course, sometimes an inline fan can help boost it, but the alien cell by default, the module off the back has the inline fan built into it. So unless you're creating a part that's going to replace that, and then the laser's probably going to throw an error that it's not installed, it's going to be there. It's going to be running. So that'll pull it out of the machine and dump it into its stock pipe, and then you would be running it in that pipe to whatever. I have mine set up out in the shop. I've got the stock alien cell fans going out the white pipe, and then I adapt that into a 4-inch pipe, and then I have my inline fan that draws everything out of the shop, pulling it out as well. So that's how I'm running mine, which would be similar to hooking it up to an AP2 inside. It's just I'm dumping it outside. But
yeah, the AP2's, I will say this, as far as air filters that I have tested goes, the AP2, it does a good job. I'm still running it over. Now I run it on my UV, but I've been doing some like deep engraves on some 1911 grips and stuff like that, and it's doing a really good job. I'm probably due for a cleaning. I probably need to take it apart, clean the pre-filter. But yeah. Carrie saying, just got the Eufy Make UV printer Monday. It worked for 2 days. Now I'm getting a cleaning cartridge not detected error. Any suggestions? I don't have one, so I'm going to refer this question over to Steve.
I would be careful doing this, but if you can pop the cleaning cartridge out and put it back in, it might reseat. There have been some cases where they pop, they'll pop loose. Just be careful that you're not, the cleaning solution and the inks can be kind of caustic. And so anytime you're handling any of that stuff, get yourself some neoprene gloves or some latex gloves or something, and pop that out, push it back in, see if that reseats it. If they're very rare case, but in some cases, if something was messed up with them, they can bulge a little bit. Yeah, I would just double check that it is seated properly, possibly pop it off a little bit, push it back in. If not, you might need to reach out to support on that to see if you have a cartridge that's gone bad somehow. I only had one issue with a cleaning cartridge on mine that didn't get seated correctly on the prototype machine I had. But the ones since then have been okay. But yeah, there's just, that's the annoying thing with any of these, like all the ink cartridges and such. You just got to make sure they get seated correctly. You have tried it. Okay. Yeah, there's not a lot that, you know, I mean, maybe visually inspect, like if you take the cartridge out, visually inspect, look for, it should be dry in there. If you're seeing any fluid, there might be a bigger issue. But it sounds like it's contacting UV support on that one.
Mm.
And that's something, I mean, you know, a lot of people with the UV printers, they are a very cool tool, but you need to be able to use them regularly, or they're going to go into their cleaning cycles. They're going to use up more of that cleaning fluid. And the resins themselves are not exactly safe to handle. So, you know, you want to make sure that you don't get exposure to them. And the cleaning solution as well, it is very caustic. So if that spills, or if it has a leak, it can do some damage to plastics and such. So it's a cool technology. You want to make sure that though you're using it regularly, or it's going to become a big maintenance pain and a very expensive device to have on occasion. So
yeah. Rob Wilson is saying, is Alien Cell as big a deal as I hear? I've noticed that Louisiana Hobby Guy only uses that now. He used to be all about Lightburn and was a great wealth of knowledge on the software. Love, Rich. Yeah, well, I know he was big with Rolly, and then since Rolly has went, to the wayside, I think he's partnering with, I guess, Alien Cell. It was RM Laser or something he was talking about before. So I don't know, but the Alien Cell, so far from my experience, I've got it. I've been using it. It's a good machine. Like I said, it is a cross. I would say, as far as like its capabilities, it takes some of the capabilities of the S1, which was one of my all-time favorite blue diode machines because of the crosshair thing. It takes that technology but puts it into a bigger platform with basically it's got a built-in computer in the laser because it's running on Linux or whatever, and so the controller itself has a lot more capabilities. It's just there's a lot of the stuff from the 3D printing world as far as the harmonics and the resonance of the machine. It does all the testing with the vibrations and stuff. So there's some pretty good technological advancements in it. So I think it is definitely one to keep your eye on. I've had really good results with the machine so far that I've got. The only thing that I will tell you currently, now I know they've got plans, and I figure that they'll come out with a really good solution, but currently they don't offer a riser to make it taller. So right now you're pretty much limited to sheet goods, leather, acrylics, wood, stuff like that, up to, I can't remember how many millimeters is, but it's a couple of 3 inches, I think. If you take the honeycomb as well as the slats out of it, you can get a couple of inches of room in there. But I feel like when they do release a riser, it should be a very well built one. Hopefully they don't change the way they're doing things, because I really do like the machine so far. The Air Assist, again, is very similar to what I was used to with my S1, in that it can go from 10% all the way to 100%. You can customize it per layer. So each layer, if you want more air, less air, the fans are automatic on, automatic off. The fans in the back will even speed up depending on whether you're cutting or whether you're engraving, like whether you need more exhaust, less exhaust. It's pretty advanced. But like I said, right now, if you get it currently, and this will change, I'm sure, but currently it's just the flat machine. There's no rotary right now. There's no riser right now. It's just the flat machine. But so far, I am pretty pleased with the way it performed. But if you're wanting to get into lasers and you're going to buy a machine today and you want to do tall items or you want to do tumblers, just understand that currently they haven't released those add-ons to it yet. But I mean, I know they will, but just don't buy it and then next week be like, well, I want to do tumblers and I can't get a rotary for it. Because right now it's not available right now.
So they state without removing the base plate, you can process materials up to approximately 25 millimeter thick. If you need to engrave thicker materials, please remove the base plate to raise the height of the laser machine.
But it doesn't give you a mount. Okay.
So, but yeah, I would agree. It's kind of become one of my favorite lasers. It's definitely very fast. Like Clack was saying, the adjustability of the air assist on it is really nice. Its working area is really nice. It's a well-built quality machine. And, their input shaping, their vibration detection and such does allow it to move faster without having as many issues. The squiggly lines and other things that we get. So it's definitely a nice machine. I would put it right up there. The S1 40 watt used to be my favorite. These two are really close. I mean, the S1's here in my basement shop. The X1 alien cells out in my main shop. As far as diodes go, they're kind of my go-tos right now as far as your day-to-day work on that. But yeah, it's not the cheapest machine out there. You definitely get a cheaper equivalent power machine, but some of the things they've done to make the speed faster and the acceleration is what really helps speed it up. It gets it up to speed a lot faster than a lot of the others. So that's what changes the equation a lot on it. I should really try to do a head-to-head test on that to kind of quantify that a little bit easier and show same settings, same power module, same rated speed of 400 millimeters a second. How do they compare?
Yeah. G Herdalt says, so the alien cell is able to cut most acrylics as a diode, and my answer to that would be no. I mean, black, yeah. Just the nature of a diode laser, I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to cut most acrylics because there's a lot of different acrylics, transparent, translucent.
It can cut the same type of acrylics as any other 20, 40, 60 watt diode. That's a physics thing. There's no diode laser that is ever going to come out and be able to cut clear. Yeah. It's just pure physics. They can't change that. So throwing more power at it's not going to change it. It has to be a different wavelength, and that means getting into something like a CO2. So
yeah. But let's see. I'll say something else.
Boomer's asking, does Xtool Studio have a variable text option like Liper, and haven't been able to find it yet for the F2? No, but Clack was very adamant with with our contact at CES. Like, if there's one thing you could change, do this. And he's like, that shouldn't be that hard for our engineers to add. So
yeah, I did
impress upon
request it. And I want to say I saw something. Was it I may be speaking out of turn. It may be something that I saw somewhere I wasn't supposed to talk about. Hang on just a second. let me make sure. But yeah, I want to say I saw something the other day that resembled it in the software, but I was told by the folks there that yeah, we would look into that because that shouldn't be hard to do. But no, currently I don't know that they have it released, but I thought I saw efficiency tool. Okay, maybe I'm sleeping. I don't know. Maybe I was dreaming. I could have swore the other day I saw. Okay, maybe I'm not. Yeah, I don't think they have it out yet.
Hopefully, more to come.
But I do know that I put it on their radar. I don't know if they're going to act on it or not. But I was adamant that this is where y'all are dropping the ball, because this should be a simple fix, especially with as complex as their software is. So. I swear I saw that somewhere the other day when I was working with one of these machines.
Andy Chapman's asking, evening guys, I listened to your comments on the Weak Ray Saga. So looking for the next laser. Have you heard of or reviewed the Tyvek spider laser and the expandable size? I've heard of Tyvek lasers and such, but what concerns me is they drop a lot of Kickstarters, and then you don't really hear about the lasers after that. You don't see a lot of reviews on them and such. So I'd be, I don't know. I guess I'd be a little concerned that you don't see more about any of their machines. They tend to have some unique designs that sound interesting, but do they ever come to fruition? But I haven't had any direct experience with them, nor have I talked with too many people that have said anything about them, good, bad, or otherwise, other than they just don't hear about them enough. What are your thoughts?
I only know of one person who has personal experience with the Tyvok machine, and he's a friend of mine here in town, and he had purchased it because he wanted the 4 foot by 4 foot machine. And he said that if he had it to do over again, he would not have purchased it. He would have either bought like another brand or something. He was not very happy about it because he said he had to go through and put new bearings in it. Like some of the bearings were bad. And this is a guy that knows what he's doing. Like he legit, like he's handy. So I don't have any personal experience with them, but it depending on what you're wanting as far as work area or whatever, there's a lot of options out there. And as much as I don't have a need for a, 850 by 800 laser, Adam Stack's got a bunch of them, and they've been trying to get rid of them. The 70 watt maxes and some of the IQ 70 watt maxes and stuff like that. That although they're bigger than what I feel is needed for my shop, if you're needing something really big and you want something really big, it's a mechanically, operationally, it's a good machine. Even that Asmer X1, other than the fact that anytime you stretch a laser bed to like 60 inches, it has to be square. It has to like have a table custom built for it and stuff like that. I mean, but depending on what you're looking for, there's plenty of machines out there that would probably fit the bill. I have no experience with Tyvok, but like what Steve said, I mean, you hear a lot about their Kickstarters, but then they just kind of go away. So I don't know.
Greg Wilson's asking, have you done any new 3D prints lately? These aren't ones that I've designed, but I've been printing these out. They're from Jesse Sparks, and I know he's a viewer. But this is kind of part of it. It's a 3-piece item, and so this is an insert that would go into T-Track, and I have the bolts going up into it, and then he has these in different sizes. So this is like a 6, and this is a 12. So they're meant to be material hold down clamps. And his way of doing it is you have this reversed where the nut would be in the bottom and you would draw this down that way. My problem with that is sometimes on T-Track it'll bottom out, so I like it to draw the nut up, but I don't want it to stick up too high. So he also has these little knurled knobs, and then you insert a nut into the top of that. Sorry, that one actually has the nut in there. And then they work as hold down clamps, and if you need more space, you just put a longer nut in there. So I needed something small like this because on the Genmitsu 2x2 CNC machine, the working area goes all the way up to the front edge and actually past the edge of the spoil board. And so when I was trying to do this bigger cutout, needing the full 24 inches, I had to bring the material up within about an inch of that lip. And so I needed something to hold down that was narrow, and these actually fit the bill pretty well. So a little bit of hardware needed, metric hardware, which local Ace Hardware that literally opened like 3 days ago here in town had it. And then some 3D printing. And I've been printing a lot of them to have on hand of different sizes and such. So that's some of the stuff I've been doing with the 3D printer this week. Just CNC between that and James Dean's dust boot. It's been CNC support equipment, and that's one of the really nice things about the 3D printers is you can, you need a specialty tool like this, you can get it made fairly quickly. And he offers these files that they're out on Maker World. you can find them. So yeah, that one has been one of the ones I've been doing this week. And you've got your
yeah, I've been printing.
What do you call those?
Sticky fingers. I don't know. I try to keep my names interesting, but they're not technically sticky. I mean, I guess you could roll them in honey and make them sticky, but they are a little more adhesive than or friction enhancing than the plastic, whatever ABS claws or whatever these things ship with. They grip better than that does. But I use 2 O-rings right here, rubber. Either you can use a rubber or what's the nitrile O-rings. Nitrile are just more chemical resistant than traditional rubber would be. But yeah, I 3D printed those and came up with these. I made them for the RA2 to use with my P2 because the P2 was hitting that little claw that came over the top. It was hitting it and causing it to rock. And so I developed them to use with the RA2. But then I got to looking around and I'm like, you know what? They work really well. So I've upgraded my Atom Stack chuck as well to use these. And I did them this particular length for a purpose. And that's because most of these tumblers that you buy, I don't know about you guys, but most of them have inside the tumbler, they have this little lip like right there. And that's so that this can slide down inside the cup. Well, you don't want anything sticking out here that's longer than that little ridge. And so I specifically designed them using the thickness of a tumbler lid and the general geometry of this lid. That's how I designed them, to make sure that they didn't, because some of the other attachments, if you get too far inside the tumbler, when you start opening it up, it lets it slide and, move because of that flat shoulder is tapered on up here. So yeah, but they work great. Selling them on Etsy. So if you want them, go check it out. But yeah, that's been what I've been printing. That and the Bigfoot adapter for the F2 has been really popular. Matter of fact, where's it at? Let me pull it up. I've got one printing right now. And while I'm waiting on that to load, I saw a question up here that I was going to try to address if I could. Where's it at?
Well, I've got a 3D printed stormtrooper.
You and your trinkets.
He's articulated.
You and your trinkets. Okay, here it is. Living Healthy with Jay says, I got a Falcon A1 Pro and I'm having a hard time getting it to do what I want. And I read through all the comments, and what it sounds like is happening is she's got the rotary connected to the machine, but the rotary is not rotating. And so therefore the engrave is ending up as a line rather than an image. Now, I will say this. She's saying that she's trying to do an image on a tumbler. And I will tell you, images on tumblers, unless it's a white tumbler, are really hard to pull off. But you've either got the rotary is either not connected, or the measurements for the rotary are not accurate, because what has to happen, and if you're using Creality software, it should be pretty simple. But if you're using Lightburn, you got to make sure that your steps per rotation and all that are set. But in Creality software, you have to make sure you set the diameter of the object, because if you don't, it's either going to turn too slowly or too fast. And either way, it's going to distort the ending image. I actually did a video the other day on the A1, coincidentally, you doing a tumbler. And so I'll drop you a link to that. I actually went over the setup. So maybe this helps you. But I didn't see any tripping hazards or anything to look out for. But if you watch that video right there, that is me using the Creality A1 to engrave a tumbler. And I think I went through pretty much the whole process. So
yeah, I just recently got the Falcon A1 Pro. But it's just the base laser. I don't have the rotary for it. So I actually just moved it down here to my basement workshop, so it'll be easier to work with it over the next few days. And I just loaded up their software. So check out Clack's videos. Hopefully that helps run. Maybe rerunning through the setup, double checking things will help out. Otherwise, in another week or so, I'll have a little more experience with that specific laser and might be able to provide some insight in the future.
Yeah, I haven't used their software all that much, so there may be something I'm not thinking about. But I do know that you have to tell it that it's a rotary job, and there's some check boxes and stuff that have to be clicked in there. But it's definitely, if it's making a line and what's happening is that you've got your gantry is operating, but the y-axis on the rotary is not rotating, and so it's just going to sit there and go back and forth in that same line. So yeah, check your steps, check your object diameter, and just make sure that you've got all of the appropriate boxes checked. I will tell you this: if you're just getting started with rotary work, there's a couple of things that I want to share with you. If you've never done rotary work and you want to practice, two of the best practice parts that you have in your home are going to be aluminum cans, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, Sprite, whatever, kinetic water. Those cans are awesome. If you really want, you can typically you can actually engrave them like they are, and it'll just turn them silver. But if you really want to get fancy, hit them with some black spray paint and practice with them. Another thing that a lot of people overlook is toilet paper rolls. Now, you got to be careful on crimping them. You can't clamp them in real hard because it's cardboard. But you can actually take a toilet paper roll and laser engrave it and practice, because you can measure it and you can do what you need to do. And they're recyclable. So there you go.
Or next time you're at your neighbor's, pull their curtain rod, especially if it's wooden, bring it home, cut it up into chunks.
Yeah, wood dowels work also if you want to play around with some dowels. I'll tell you, drink cans, like those things are awesome, because you can take some black spray paint and spray paint a Dr. Pepper can, and it's good practice materials. And like I said, everything's it's recyclable. Just you're just getting some use out of it.
But otherwise, find yourself an inexpensive, tumbler and use it up, paint over it again, use it again.
Hey, I tell you, this is something that my buddy Bill told me about the other day. I didn't even think about it, but he goes down to the thrift store, and people like take tumblers in there that's got like a bank logo on it or something, and you can buy them for like $1. And like he went to the thrift store and bought a bunch of tumblers just to use for practice tumblers.
So a few years ago, I don't know if they still sell them, but Harbor Freight had just these blank stainless steel tumblers. I think they had like a few like ribbed sections or something for grabbing onto it, but they had them on sale at one point where I was getting them for like $5 a piece. So I went in and bought like a bag full of them. I think I still have stashes of them. But also check Michael's every so often. They have just like the straight walled plain stainless steel cups, and again, you can get them for around $5-6 on their clearance sales. So keep an eye out there. Sometimes just wander through your local craft store and such. But yeah, thrift stores as well, you can find medium like that. So
yep. Greg, I've been buying the I'm gonna be honest with you, I've started using that what's the one? Let me look at it. It's over. Is it Overture? Yeah, Overture off of Amazon. I've
used them in the past.
Huh?
I've used them in the past.
It's the Pet G. I've had really good luck with it so far. Like that's what I'm running right now, because I can't. I had orders kept coming in, and I was waiting on bamboo, and I'm like, I gotta have filament. So I went on Amazon, and I'm like, okay, Pet G filament, and so I ordered some black and some orange. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I like the orange better than bamboos. Like I haven't. I'm serious. It's printing good. Like I haven't had any problems. And the only thing is that I had to go in and manually assign the filament type, because But I got thinking about it. I was like, I should have just kept the RFID from my orange Pet G from bamboo. I should have just kept it and put it in there. But yeah, it's working pretty good. I got the black Overture now that I got to try, because I'm running low. Or I'm not running low, but I'm down to like 2 rolls of black currently, and I've been going through it pretty regular here lately, because I've been running my little A1 to death. If there were ever like a torture test for a A1, I've been putting it through it here lately. Where's it at? Let's see here. Let me let me pull it up here. Share screen, entire screen. There we go. There it is right there. It's just a printing. It's been printing this whole time. I went in there and took one off of it before the live and started it back because it takes about almost 3 hours to print that thing. So, yeah.
Cool.
But I've been keeping it busy. I need to get me a faster printer, I think, but it's just hard to, it's like we've talked about. It's hard to replace a tool when it's getting the job done, even though it's not the fastest.
Well, I'll just start hitting up Facebook Marketplace or have Ryan shop for you. He's good at scoping out those deals.
Chris said an orange 3D printed insert to go inside a toilet roll so you can clamp it well. Yeah, there you go. And you got plenty of practice material.
Well, Boomer says their local Harbor Freight still has the stainless steel tumblers for $5 regular price, but they only put out 3 or 4 at a time. Yeah. Yeah, I think the last time I saw them, they were around $7. But I mean, and that's the thing is like, if you have someone who wants an inexpensive tumbler, maybe they just want black marking on it, and they don't care that it says Yeti or Arctic or anything like that.
Yeah,
or you want to do some giveaways to promote a business or something or whatnot. There you go. So, anyhow. Well, we're over time, so
yeah.
Any last questions we got to hit up?
Cody, there's Cody. He snuck in a minute ago.
He did.
Mark says just crack open the wallet, get a P2S. If you like, we just had a storm shelter put in. Like I ain't got no wallet. Like my wallet, there's crickets in my wallet right now. I ain't got no money. I'm broke. I'm on a fixed income anyway.
Fixed income.
I am. I'm retired. My check's the same amount every month.
You're
like
not on
the last day of the month, my check goes in there and it's the exact same as it was.
You said you're not retired and you're doing this as your job, so this is not a fixed income.
Well, this is a job / hobby over here.
We'll let your job / hobby make a business expense of a 3D printer.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I'm hoping to get one day. I just we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Living healthy. I don't drink soda either. This is a non-sugar energy drink called Kinetic. It's about the only thing I drink that's not water or water with coffee or water with tea unsweetened that I drink as well. So
yeah,
so you can still get cans.
I drink a Monster occasionally. That's about it for me. I don't drink Coke. I do drink my sweet tea, which I need to back off of because I don't need to be drinking all that sugar. But
it's not good.
It is good.
No,
it's very good.
No.
MT saying what? It's a kiss cut for laser film? I have no idea. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Mark, I can't do many more stove covers. I mean, have you seen propped up all over the place in here? Like I turned out 6 of them today. I gotta finish them tomorrow and then put the handles and the feet on them, and then maybe I don't know. Maybe I can get them. Tuesday? Get them delivered Tuesday. I gotta make a post office run tomorrow for my Etsy shop. So if anybody wants to order anything, order it tonight because I'm going to print my orders out in the morning and take them to the post office. So I'm having to do that dropping stuff off thing. I could have them pick them up here at my house, but that scares me. So I'm going to drop them off. I'm going to go drop them off.
See, my problem is it's more of a hassle to drop them off because now they used to have just a table you could drop them on, or they had a bin, but now they have signs plastered all over the local post office. Any prepaid packages must be handed in person due to security concerns. Yet I can put it in my mailbox and let the poor mailman pick it up.
No. See, the way it works at my post office is I walk in and there's this little guy that works the counter. He sees me come in. He's like, "What's up? What you got today, man?" And I'm like, "It's right here." And I usually got my little bag because I've been having multiples. And I take them, put them on the counter. He's like, "I got you, appreciate it," and I leave. That's it.
Yeah, no, I usually my mail guy is pretty good about picking stuff up, and so I normally set it out there. But the other day, someone put in an order towards the end of the day. I was running to Menards, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to drop it off now, get it out before the snow hits. Just I try to beat Amazon at their own game, get things out quickly. But but yeah, that was annoying when I walked in there. Like, I can't just walk up and drop it off. I got to wait for these 10 people that don't know how to put stamps on their packages just so I can go hi. And he goes, "Oh, all right, thanks."
Yeah,
like, yeah, I feel safer now.
Well, like I said, it's my actual lady that does my route told me that if I would call, let her know, or just raise the flag or whatever, she'd stop and get them. And she said she'll make sure to scan them by the end of the day, so that I don't get in trouble with because of the prepaid shipping or whatever. But I could do that, but I feel better about taking them and putting them in the post office. You know what I mean? So.
Well,
Clack, I just got the SnapMaker UI 3D printer thing. Is absolutely awesome. Cool.
So it's funny you mentioned that. FlashForge is about ready to launch a multi-head printer as well. So I'm curious now that we've got some of the bigger players out, FlashForge being a pretty decent but budget friendly. I'll be curious to see where theirs lands. As far as pricing and features. So I definitely feel like those multi-head printers are going to be kind of you're going to see a lot more of them coming out this year, I think.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. Randall, I used to make them from scratch. Like, I would bond the boards myself, the whole 9 yards. I would actually started with wood that I milled on my sawmill, and I would make them that way. I would cut the logs, dry the lumber, then I would take and biscuit join the panels, and I made them from scratch. Well, then I met up with this company that orders them from me now, and when I did that, it all changed because I could not keep up with production. Like, there was just no way. I mean, I couldn't keep logs, let alone dry the wood and all that and have the turnaround that they wanted. So they asked me to come up with an option and prototype one out for them based on, what they were requesting and so forth. And so I did. And the only way that I found that I could sustain the demand was buying panels. And so I go to Lowe's. Lowe's sells a 6 foot by 24 by 3/4 pine panel that I basically split it into 2 sections with a little piece left over. The piece that's left over I used to make my little honeycomb tiles. And I break it down to a 30.5 by 22.5 piece. And then I take in 1x4s and I make the side rails 22.5. And then I've got a jig that I created. This slides over said panel. And like it's multi-layer laser project. This slides over the end of the panel, and then I mark my screw holes. The 2 highlighted holes are the ones for the handle. Those get popped in there with my Rockler drill press thing. And so I drill the hole or countersink the holes with the countersink bit. And then when I get the thing put together, I go back with my little Rockler drill press and put the 2 holes for the handles in and glue everything together, sand it and all that, of course, and then put handles on it. So it's a process, but I've got it now to where per unit cost, I'm looking at about $30, 35 if you want to count incidentals like rags and gloves and stuff like that. You're looking at about $35 max expense, and I get $100 for them. And so like I made 6 of them today. So, and that was after I set up my sprinkler system and installed some solar lights. So, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad profit. But yeah, I've used this thing on, I don't tell you how many hundred of these because I do about 5 to 6 a week. And you can see, whoop, and that is the Adam Stack X40 does all the engraving. Yeah. This is sanded. The edges are all rounded and nice and smooth and all that. Just got to wait till tomorrow to put the finishing touches on it. This chair really rolls good now that I got these wheels. I appreciate that, Steve. That was a good recommendation.
Yeah, kind of like the CNC machine.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Well, make sure you're subscribed to both of us, Living Healthy with Jay. I do not necessarily live healthy. I like sweet tea, and I don't exercise near as much as I should. But I do like lasers, CNCs, and working on stuff. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, make sure you've subscribed, liked, followed, and shared, and all the good things. Because, like I said, I am on a fixed income, bit of a fixed income, so y'all can help me make it not as fixed. Because I don't. This doesn't like my household budget is my household budget, but this is my in order for me to get tools, pay my electric bill, and have a little money for myself. This is a necessity. So. Yeah.
Well, speaking of living healthy and subscribing, if you want to follow on more of my out of the shop shenanigans, I've decided to start a new channel for some of my extracurricular activity outside the shop. And it's definitely going to be secondary to this channel. But I like to get out and hike and bike, camp and explore things. So if you want to follow the new channel and see what I get up to with that, and there's going to be a little cross content as well between the two. I'd love if people wanted to follow my new channel there. It's going to take a little bit to get started because right now with spring, things aren't as pretty because the snow tends to melt and it's just dead things around until the grass grows in and the trees bud out. But I'll be doing more out there, sometimes hiking around some cool spots, sometimes taking camping trips, sometimes traveling on the road down to see people down in Alabama, stuff like that. So I do have a second channel out there, and there'll be more stuff coming as things kind of ramp up here as it's easier to get outside. But yeah, I need to do more walking and hiking and biking. So you'll see some of that out there as I share some of the cool things around Minnesota and other adventures. So it's out there. I know I've kind of soft launched it with a few people, but you can all encourage me more along that route as well. You're muted.
Does that mean I can tell everybody about it now? I mean, is the cat officially out of the bag now?
Yeah, if you want. Like I say, hopefully the weather's gonna be nice again next weekend, and maybe I can do another tour. But yeah, I do plan on getting out, doing some camping. Some stuff up in some of the dispersed camping stuff, some of our state park stuff. But there'll be some general outdoor stuff. There might be some airplane stuff, but it's going to be more outdoor stuff for me.
Yeah. Well, and those of you, just in case you didn't know, I too have a secondary channel, which is mostly like outdoor home technology stuff. There are grass cutting robots. I just got through putting in my automated sprinkler system for my garden. I've just got my storm shelter installed, which currently has one little cheap solar light, but I have plans to upgrade. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of see, there's the controls for my garden sprinkler system right there. So yeah. Hey, if I can make robots do it for me, so I ain't got to remember it, it's awesome. Like I can tell it, hey, 5 o'clock in the morning, water the garden. And
well, you can also have the moisture sensors so that it'll just tell you like, hey, it's the soil's dry. I need to see. I have that because we got that at CES, but well, things are frozen outside, so I can't. I first off can't put the sensors in the ground. Secondly, it would destroy my plumbing if I tried to run it.
Yeah, I had to take mine out because it's supposed to drop down below freezing, so I had to take and disassemble mine temporarily. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of like home technology stuff on my other channel, and fishing and all the other stuff. It's basically like Steve said, it's the outlet for things that don't fit here. They're going to be over there. I mean, you never know. I'm fixing the driveway. I'm putting in a storm shelter, putting in a fan in my bathroom that has Bluetooth capabilities. I mean, you never know what I'm doing. It's just random, but it's fun, and hopefully it'll be entertaining or somewhat useful information. One of the two. That's the hope. Anyway,
Cool.
We have ran over about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I hope we helped everybody that we could. If we didn't get to your question, if you had a question and we overlooked it, don't be angry. We both have email addresses readily available. You can shoot us an email, ask us a question. You can message us on Facebook. Both of us have Facebook Messenger. Like I said, I've been working with Bill trying to help him get his machine fixed today. It's pretty much a daily occurrence that I'm trying to help somebody, or help them figure out a problem or find a product or a solution to a problem that they have or whatever. So, don't ever hesitate to shoot us an email if you have a question. Sometimes we may not be as punctual as others, but we do try to respond. I know Steve and I both make it like our daily thing to try to get back to everybody that we can. Not saying that some of them don't fall through the cracks, but we try. So that's it for me. How about you? Got anything else going on? Is there any news we can share? Well, I do have some news, but I don't want to share it yet because I don't know if it's going to come through or not. But
no,
let's just say Steve might not have all the cool toys.
No, now that I've got this done, thank you to Cody's Downtown Jenny bit and the Saint Smart 2x2. I should be able to pull that review together, so we'll get that CNC machine out of the way. I have been working on a couple of laser design things I want to get done, and then of course I do have that Falcon A1 Pro we were talking about earlier. Going to kind of go through that one as kind of it's a little more compact but decent working area. It kind of looks like a good beginner, kind of intermediate laser. But I gotta put it through the stuff, see how it does on things, see how I think about it, and we'll have that out and going shortly. Today, so another thing we didn't bring up, the Next Level Makers Conference is the end of August.
Yes.
Both of us are slated to go, registered to go. And their earlier bird pricing ends today, where you get $70 off. And then for the next month, it's $35 off. Normal tickets then April 15th. It's like a $400 conference if you want everything. But if you just want to get in and hang out with the vendors, you can get that for free. You just got to worry about, lodging and travel and such to it. So as far as a meetup, that is one that is 99% going to happen. We'll probably be talking more about that in the future as well, but that's looking like a fun conference. Otherwise, we are still looking to see when travel plans might happen for anything else in person, whether either one of us travels to the other shop for a bit.
I'm wanting to try to hook something up. We got to figure it out, because even though my schedule's gotten a lot easier, the wife and kids' schedule is still, something we have to work around. But if I get a wild hair, I may decide just to take me a 3 or 4 day, solo trip. We'll see. I'm not sure who Living Healthy is saying what the other friend's account. I'm not sure what other friends you're talking about. But we put links. Steve and I both put links to our other YouTube channels. Do you have links on your?
I've got the
channel as well?
I don't have that to mine yet, but I have you. So if you're watching on my channel and you're trying to find Clack, check the description. I have a link to his channel down there.
Yeah, that should be. Yeah, I have to say both of us should have links to both of us in the live description, I think.
But yeah, I'll start adding my alternate channel to my video links and such here pretty soon. So, but yeah, otherwise just search for Vintari. You'll find me pretty much anywhere: Facebook, Instagram,
or just shoot us an email if you have a specific question. Shoot one of us an email. We can get the information for you. But I do have some negotiations underway currently that I may be getting a machine that I have kind of been wanting to get. They finally, I guess, decided to email me And so
they're getting to the third tier people.
Yeah. At the third round, fourth round draft. Yeah. So we'll see. But there may be something else coming soon. So we'll see. But I've got a long week this week of shop activities. I do have a 3D scanner we're gonna be looking at. Ryan, if you're still here, or any of you guys, I do have that, and I've got the RA3 for the P2, and I'm gonna try, if the grass will continue to come out, I'm gonna try to get my preliminary video on the motion done. But I kind of wanted to have grass in the video, other than just the little weeds. So we'll see. But anyway. Yeah, we put links in there just a second ago. Matter of fact, I'll drop another link to the other channel of mine right there for y'all. It's the Cleckleys, and that's the link to it. And then Steve can do the same as we close out. But yeah, you guys have a great one. And we'll see you next Sunday. Same place, same channel.
See y'all next week.
Later, guys.